Yes. I go online, can you hear us here? Right. Rebecca, can you hear us? Yes. No, yeah, they take a picture of you and blow it off. So it's just why is that? That's the main part. You're able to
I have that option on scratch markers.
my parents. Awesome. Just
So things do.
She looking at it. She's a driver. Unless you have something. So you want that special. Yes. You won't hear it from this.
Yeah, we were.
Thanks for this.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do I? Does it sound like I'm yelling?
Oh, you hear us?
Barely. It like cuts in and out. Yeah, it's like it.
Yeah. Not better.
Yes, that's
Okay,
much
great.
better. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Sorry, did we say it? All right, thank you everybody for coming for the NAV board meeting. We're gonna start by the pledge with the pledge of allegiance. So, if you're late, you want to say this off?
I
Pledge allegiance
to the United States of America. Liberty and justice for all.
We'll move on to A1 roll call.
Ben Johnson,
Present.
Kelly Bohr, Kelsey Manham, present. Rebecca Flannery,
Present.
Bruce Abuni, present. Victoria Love, Ernest Burdick, and Trenton Kelly are absent. Also present is Council Relations Liaison Jennifer Alvarez, Town Liaison Cal Shy. Councilor Weaver is not currently here at this moment, but with that, we have a quorum of the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to A2 public comment. I think you have some more to go over, right?
Sorry,
Sorry, you have an announcement to go with this, remember?
do I?
Not an announcement, you have a spiel explain.
Yes. What's heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called on for public comments, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name, and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you are attending a Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. I do have one in person from Catherine Yorte.
Could use the podium.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Didn't know how you guys did it here. Okay. Good evening. My name is Catherine Yarte, and I am introducing myself as a candidate for Washoe County Commission for District 5. I've called Washoe County home since I moved to Reno in 1986 with my parents, and my husband Daniel and I have been operating Team Yarte Horsemanship since 2016 in the Red Rock area. As a small business owner and founder of the Nevada Equine Council, I've spent years advocating for our rural communities, protecting open spaces, and supporting the agriculture and equine industries that are vital to our region. My commitment to our community runs deep. I've navigated local regulations firsthand for the last 2 years, working alongside neighbors and fellow business owners. And I've learned that true leadership begins with listening. I believe every resident deserves a voice in shaping our future. Every voice matters and every community counts, not just during election season, but every single day. Caring for my aging parents and witnessing my close friend navigate raising a daughter with special needs has opened my eyes to critical gaps in our county and city resources. I'm committed to ensuring that families at every stage of life receive the support and dignity they deserve, and that our seniors and residents with disabilities have access to the care and resources they need. As your District 5 Commissioner, my priorities will include standing up for rural and agricultural communities, reforming burdensome regulations that hinder small business, protecting our open spaces for future generations, and expanding senior and disability services. I understand that effective governance requires strong partnerships between city and county leadership, and I'm committed to working collaboratively with the city of Reno to address our needs and our shared constituents. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't have anyone on there. Go ahead, sir. Or can you fill out a card for me when you're done? When you're done. When you're done, fine. Go ahead. Thank you.
And if you can state your name for the record when you start.
Okay. So my name is Richard Filipowicz. I'm a member of the Commemorative Air Force. We have 2 airplanes here at Stead Airport, and we're currently working with Scott at the airport, and Scott's working with the airport management team. We're trying to set up a event Labor Day weekend called Wings, Rods, and Rides, where we would combine a car show with a static display of airplanes. It would be Labor Day weekend. We also anticipate having a B-17 and a B-24 from Arizona wing out here giving rides. So it's just really we're kind of polling the neighborhood, the area, and see what everybody thinks about this. We anticipate this starting out with 200 or 300 participants with different cars. We call it Wings, Rods, and Rides. So it would be old cars, hot rods, newer cars, and airplane displays. So just like to get some input from the community, see what you guys think of it. And hopefully the airport is in favor. What we've received so far is favorable. We're just waiting for a list of requirements for us to put this on and get the permits involved and all of that. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has or comments.
Do you have Kelsey Meno for the record? Do you have contact information if anyone wanted to reach out to you in regard to it?
Yes, I have some cards. I'll give you my card. And yeah, you're welcome to come out and see us or call me or whatever. So.
Sorry, less for the record. Is there any flying events or anything that would be part of the show?
There would be, we're anticipating the majority of the big airplanes to be here in Labor Day 27, but we're trying to get 1 or 2 here to do rides for the public this September, on the September of 26. So we're hoping it's maybe could take the place a little bit of the air races. But, be a community event, give you a chance to look at old cars, newer cars, old airplanes, and maybe go for a ride in an airplane. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
great.
Does anyone in the public would like to make a public comment now? We do have another one at the end as well. Seeing none, okay?
Hey, Rebecca Flannery over here. Can I ask a quick question? Sorry, can I ask a quick question? Since I'm on Zoom, can I get an email to his information? Would that be possible?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Rick, RICK, F like Frank, D like Delta, M like Mike, @hotmail.com.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. Just a little chaotic. Hang on. Sorry. Looking at my notes. We'll do a new one. Okay, so it's Rick.
I'll distribute that to the board, but it's rickfdm@hotmail.com.
VN like Rick.VN.
Rick, F like Foxtrot, Delta, Mike.
Delta Life.
Rick F, Delta, Mike. Rick FDM
At Hotmail.
@hotmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that. Just filling it out.
Okay. We're gonna move on to A3, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for approval, please?
Kelsey Meadows second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. We're gonna move on to A4, election of officers. And then do you have anything for this or do you want to just go?
However you want to do it, some of the other boards have had the current officers let us know if they're interested in serving again, then open it up to see if there's any other nominations or interests. So we'll just start with.
Okay. I've announced myself. I'm Ben Johnson for the record, even though I've talked about it 10 times already. I would like to stay as the chair for the board. Anyone else would like to do that this year? Please do something. If not, I'd like to stay as that position. Does anyone else want to do it or no? No? That is rude. I will not denounce the bears. I will, for each one of these, we will have to have a motion
Yes.
for that. So I will need a motion if someone.
Motion to, then that's the first meeting for interviewing motions and nominating.
Second. Thank you.
Then vote. All,
Second.
yeah, we have, yes, all in favor?
Ended up going through Carson.
Aye, this is vote.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Cool, thank you very much. Election of the board vice chair. Now, would you as well like to continue with this, or if anyone else would like to step up to this position?
Good evening, Kelly Orr for the record. I would like to continue my position as vice president, chair, vice chair. Popcorn, thanks for there.
Okay. Ben Johnson, motion to have elect Kelly vice chair.
Victoria Luck, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, then all right, Kelly will stay and which will pass, and Kelly will stay vice chair. The last one is election of the board secretary. So Kelsey,
Was there anyone else? I know that there have been people that have been asking me, I can do it, I'll do it.
I know you kind of got forced into it a bit.
I've learned to love it, actually.
Okay,
I
that's
still
good.
just wanted to take over.
I nominate person who may I nominate.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes, and Kelsey Meadow will stay the secretary for the neighborhood advisory board. Okay. Megan is not here. Do we plan on her being here today? Was she told? Very good.
We did expect.
Okay, So I'm gonna skip A5 and come back to that, when she shows up. So we'll go to A6, staff.
Just a couple announcements today, nothing to. Second. Holly Shy, staff liaison for the record. Just in general announcements to the board and the public, Reno.Direct is the city's non-emergency service center. They are available online 24 hours a day and Monday through Friday phone, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So whether you have a general question about the city or something you'd like to see done, go ahead and give Reno.Direct a call or an email. A quorum reminder for the board, Kelsey's our secretary for 2026, so she'll be reaching out to you. Attendance, whether that's with me directly or by sending a calendar invite. So make sure you look for that and respond to her when she comes. A reminder for the board and the public about the city's newsletters. I especially recommend the Ward 4 newsletter, the Development Projects newsletter, and the Council Agendas newsletter, so you can stay up to date on events happening in your ward as well as city meetings. You can sign up on the City of Reno's website. Some upcoming engagement opportunities. Councilmember Ebert has Council Connect this weekend on Sunday, January 18th at Superstitions Java. It's going to start at 1 p.m. So if you'd like to go, ask her questions. She will be there on Sunday. Coming up in February, there's a Junior Ranger. Fields, you can get your Ward 4 badge, exciting, all ages. So that'll be from 3 to 5 p.m. at Mayor's Park and Fields, and the topic will be navigation. Also this Sunday is the 40th Martin Luther King Jr. Annual Interfaith Memorial Service. That'll be at McKinley Arts and Culture Center at 4 p.m. And lastly, there is a senior resource fair happening next Thursday at Neal Road Recreation Center from 1 to 3 p.m. They're going to have all sorts of resources for seniors.
Let's even know for the record, who's putting that on? Is that by the city?
I think it's Reno's Seniors Engaged, so it is a
Okay.
Some board membership updates. There are currently 5 vacancies on the board, 2 of which are for alternate members. So if you know anyone who's interested in serving on the board, just go to Reno.Gov/boards and apply there. You can apply for any city board. This site has lots of information on all of the city's boards if you're interested. We also include all of the member information on there. So if you serve on the board and you're looking for your term date, it's on there. Just go to the Ward 4 page, click on the members tab and click on your name and your term information will be there. Some information on feedback and public comment for tonight's projects. I believe the first project we're going to see in Military Road, that's going to Planning Commission next Wednesday. So it's a quick turnaround for you to get your feedback in. You can submit it using those Planning Commission avenues on the screen, or you can just email it to me or hand me your physical sheets today. That goes for the public comment aspect as well for our board officers. So you can email that to me or send it directly to the Planning Commission public comment. Ideally, we'll get those turned in by Tuesday. The second and third development items today will actually be combined during this NAB meeting. They're the same applicant, so we can open them together and hear the presentation together. That's expected to go to the Planning Commission on February 4th, but that is a tentative date. Nevertheless, if you can get your feedback and public comment in by next Friday, so I can get that routed to the planning department. That's all I have for today. Just some other general updates. The Planning Commission will be next Wednesday at 6 p.m. at City Hall. City Council will meet on the 28th, so 2 weeks from yesterday. And then our next Ward 4 NAB meeting is here at 6 p.m. on February 15th. We've got any announcements, but if you have any questions for me, just let me know.
Thank you. Ben Johnson for record side. Beginning, was Kelsey going to be the one reaching out to us to establish if we're going to be at the next NAB meeting?
Yeah, so I'm going to send out the quarterly emails.
Okay.
So that went out for January, February, March. I'll do one for the second quarter. So that's kind of your initial overview. Here's what's coming up. that's when you can respond to me and let me know you'll be at all of them. You can say I'm gonna miss one of them, or you can just accept the calendar invites.
Mhm.
And then right around when the agenda is posted, Kelsey checks in with me, and then I let her know who's responded, and then she reaches out to those we haven't heard from.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. That's what I need to know. Anyone have any questions? None. Okay, so, Megan, welcome. You skipped over the council liaison report. Do you want to, you do that now before we go on?
Yeah, so the council had a meeting this Wednesday, yesterday, after having a break for the holidays. It was a really good meeting. We're over by noon, which is like one of the shortest ones on record. Not anything really pertaining to Ward 4, on that agenda specifically with regard to like development or road projects or anything like that. There is going to be, a donation made by Waste Management to Clean and Safe for some cleanups downtown. That was one of the items we accepted in the consent agenda, but nothing really specific to Ward 4 at this time. Probably have more updates at the next time. This coming Sunday, there will be a council connect or connect with council member at Superstitions Java. From what is it, 1 to 2 when it's scheduled. I usually stay till like 3 though, where I'll just be available at the coffee shop there. Anybody that wants to come in, I'll buy your coffee and just talk about any issues you'd like to talk about. It's something I do monthly, and feel free to drop by if you'd like. I believe that's my update for now. I'm sorry if something comes up later. We're still getting back in the group from having our break, so I'm getting caught up on some things, but that's my current update.
Sounds good. Okay, we're going to our business development project review. There's E1. Military roads secure storage. Are they here to do the presentation?
Yeah.
Please take the podium, gentlemen, and we're ready to begin.
We have an updated presentation. Can we give it?
Wednesday. You ready?
Okay, all right. Thank you. For the record, Jeff Frame with Frame Architecture. With me is Greg Peak. He's the property owner. And so we're here to present military secure storage. Do I advance the slide?
We're gonna try. Okay, it just doesn't let
Oh,
me.
there we go. So the property is on the corner of, well, here's Military Road and Lemon Drive. There's a 7-Eleven here. The property that we're looking at right here is actually 3 pieces of property. There's a piece here, another piece here, and there's a tiny little sliver down here. We're looking at combining all 3 into one. And then to the north is an existing multifamily residential, the North Peak Apartments. And to the west here is open space. Across Lemon Drive, these properties are actually zoned in the county. They are zoned, I believe, low density rural or something like that. So we do have a residential adjacency. That's why we're doing a conditional use permit. It broke. Okay, there we go. All right, the zoning is general commercial throughout, including not only our 3 parcels zoned general commercial and the 7-Eleven, obviously, but so is the the North Peak Apartments are zoned general commercial as well. The mini warehouse is an allowable use with a conditional use permit based on table 3.1 in the City of Reno zoning. We did go through in our submittal and we were able to justify all 5 findings for the Planning Commission. So we think we're pretty good with findings 1 through 5. Just a little bit of history about this parcel. Back in 2020, this parcel is actually the west parcel, not the entire development, but the west parcel is actually slated for a 168 unit senior housing project. And then that would have left this parcel, the east parcel, open for future development. So our project actually would take up all 3 parcels. So real quick on our site plan here, you come in off Lemon Drive. We do have a 3-story indoor climate controlled storage building. We also have enclosed RV parking, RV garages actually. And then the blue in the middle here is RV parking. It's covered. Up here, these little units right here are 10 by 15 and 10 by 20 kind of drive up mini storage. Here's our site plan and our landscape development plan. So we are pulling the units off the property line. We could actually put them right on the property line, but we're pulling them off the property line to have a landscape buffer between our storage project and the existing North Peak Apartments. We are pulling the units on the west side here to the east a little bit. This is to allow just for grading and drainage to flow around here. Same thing with here. We're pulling it northward a little bit off the south property line. And then, of course, putting in quite a bit of landscaping here. Another thing that we're doing here is just to help soften the view is this is a detention basin. So we are landscaping that and landscaping in front of the building to help soften it up just for views from Lemon Drive. There is a fence that goes all the way around and then all the way up here on the north side. And on the west side and on the south side will be a full height concrete block wall. So you won't be able to see them. These are just the front on elevations of the actual indoor mini storage. It is 3 stories in height. It's below the allowable height limit, so we're not asking for a variance there. I think the last slide, this is just a quick sketch view of what it would look like coming in the driveway off Lemon Drive. And that's all we have.
Thank you very much. Ben Johnson for the record. There's nothing that anyone on the board can do about it, but for Megan. Man, did we get a lot of storage units up in our ward, don't we? I mean, it's a lot. I'm surprised that your business model still shows us to be profitable with how many we get. I think it's 1 every 2 to 3 meetings. We have another one coming in. I don't really have too many questions. I like the infill. I wish it'd be something else, but that's what you got when you guys own the property. You're able to do that. So I don't really have any questions. I guess it's just more of a comment. So we're going to open up questions to the board. Kelsey, do you have any questions you'd like to bring up?
Kelsey Meno to the record. A few questions. Why did it change from senior housing to storage units?
Previous owner, right?
Yeah, we're the previous owner of the property. We built the North Peak Apartments and we sold that portion that was shown there to a group called Commonwealth. And they had intended to build senior housing using Section 42 tax credits. There are very few tax credits available, unfortunately, and they were never able to make that work. So they weren't able to obtain the tax credits. And so the project just became unviable.
Gotcha. Okay. And then what security measures are planned and how are, I guess, just mainly security measures, especially after hours activity?
The city would not allow me to do turrets with guns and razor wire. So we do have block walls that are part of the buildings that go around. There'll be a masonry wall that goes along the east edge behind the 7-Eleven. It will be, split face and will look nice. We want to do a nice job. Of course, cameras and some lighting, but we're very aware that, I built North Peak Apartments. We're very aware that this is a dark skies neighborhood. And so there will not be light spillage per se. You'll be able to see the lighting on there, but there will not be, like our apartments, there won't be any spillage over.
Can you state your name for the record?
My name is Greg Peak. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And then, like what Ben was saying, has a market demand study been completed to identify if this is needed in the area?
Well, maybe today, no, but what's going on in Lemon Valley? Yes. There are thousands of houses that are going to be built in Lemon Valley. RTC is looking at rebuilding Lemon Drive, and all of those houses will be in an HOA, and they're not allowed to have, parkings for boats and trailers and things like that. And some people like to have a secondary garage. So we believe, filling a niche market with those roll-up doors and a nice climate controlled environment.
Okay, and then just, is it going to create any jobs or have any positive impact on the communities besides that old stuff?
Well, certainly on the construction side, quite a few jobs on the construction side, but there will be, it'll be in probably about 3 or 4 employees only.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all of the questions I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly Ward for the record. I have a few questions. What are you with the walls in the wind and the retention pond? I know that you guys have to maintain that retention pond regularly per city code, but you're putting up trees around them? Are you putting up walls? In the photo, I just saw trees. Are there going to be walls so that like debris and trash from neighboring places don't blow into that and get clogged up? And
Sure. Yeah. The answer is yes. We of course will be maintaining that just as we did when we owned the apartments, the retention ponds of the apartments. Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
And then my next question is access times. What's your access times for that?
We haven't made a final decision, but we did make sure that had complete transparency in the application that it could be 24 hours, 24/7. I mean, you have a 7-Eleven right there that's going to be very active and very lit up. You have apartments, people come and go all times of the night. It's not a high impact use. People may need to access their unit for whatever reason. They need to go get grandma's scrapbook. I have no idea, but there may be that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to preclude that right now. I don't know what the demand is going to be, quite honestly. On that. I will tell you that the office will be normal hours. When I say normal hours, I don't know, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturdays, probably closed on Sundays.
Are you going to have somebody live on site?
No, there will not be living quarters.
Okay. And then, just kind of a comment, there's 21 and there's going to be 23 storage units, not including yours, in our district or in our ward.
They're all full.
They're not. I just do property management for a living, so I know you're not a fool, but I was just curious, but I mean, you as well as a property owner, business, developer.
Well, we're going to offer a little bit different type of product, and I think that where it is going to be wonderful, but
Yeah.
I appreciate
Absolutely. Thank you for the presentation.
Sorry.
Victoria, look for the record. So jumping on that pond while it's still fresh, is it retention or detention?
I am not an engineer on those sorts of things, and I always get confused. All I know is that
One keeps it, one drains.
I know.
So it's not Councilmember yet, for the record. I believe that large one, is a detention pond and then it moves on to, a retention pond. But the really big one that's full right now,
Yeah.
will it for a while and then it lets it go. So it's detention eventually lets it go, retention keeps it. And I think the bigger one is a detention pond.
Okay. My question with that is just with the freezing and the angle that you are behind the hill right there, and you have a big sidewalk. So I'm sure you're aware with the development that's going on the mountain there that will connect Walmart to basically the 7-Eleven area. Are you guys planning on making sure that that's safe? I'm just saying that because there are people that are coming near these ponds that are full, they freeze over, and we have issues with that. So once the more development comes in, like you said, I'm sure you're aware with all the plans coming to that area, or specifically in your lots, that may be a issue in the future. Just keep that aware, because once it's in, and you can't really make much changes, but right now we can. And adjust for that freezing temperatures, that shaded area, and basin fires. Anything on that? My second thing was. No, I won't be one. Okay, so maintenance was just the other question. Will it be to the standard that you have your apartments?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
We do not build these to sell them. We build them to keep them and operate them ourselves. And we take pride in what we do.
Okay, yeah, that tucked space you have between the apartments and this new development, I was just curious if you're gonna keep it like a cohesive look.
The color schemes will blend in for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I hope you like our color scheme in North Peak. I think it's beautiful.
I think it fits in well.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I like the art towns.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
No, thanks.
Rebecca, do you have any questions?
Yes, hello, Rebecca Flannery for the record. I'm gonna agree with Ben Johnson on the fact that we do have way too many storage units coming out here. But I'm actually really disappointed that there's the senior housing option has been debunked and taken off the table. Like, is there any other options? Because like I have like patients that live in Ranchera, for example, senior, and it's $8,000 a month for them to live there, senior citizens. And with it being the North Valleys, we are a cheaper region. So is there any way like that we can help it to become senior housing? Because we don't need any more, we don't need no more storage units. We need housing options. And our seniors need cheaper options than $8,000 a month. So what can we do to like alter that back or make it feasible? I mean, I know it's your property and you can do whatever you want, but it's more looking at like what is needed out here, and storage units are not needed. What can we do to help you assist you to actually make it to senior housing? Because I really love that idea. Thank you.
Great for the record. Thank you, Rebecca. I completely empathize with everything that you're saying, and it's very true. The project that was proposed before and approved, I might add, was a great project. I'm disappointed too that it didn't go. It would have been nice to have that out here. The story that I heard was that the tax credits dried up. And that organization decided not to move forward. So they approached us to purchase the land, repurchase the land and take ownership again. That said, I mean, if there's a group out there that would like to do something, I'm all ears. We just thought that this was the best use. There is a slight access issue. Apartments generally, ingress and egress is huge, and there is you have one driveway in and out at this point in time, and it's the previous circulation as was shown went through the apartments before, and that's not ideal by any means. So I don't know. It's not the easiest access property with that right in, right out, and we built that driveway with RTC and the agreement, honestly, that that we have right in, right out. We lost full motion intersection there, and that's really tough for apartments. So that's another negative on the property.
Well, sorry, Rebecca Flannery for the record, is there any way to make it like maybe a smaller senior community, like just little activities for them to do and I mean, obviously, most of them don't, a majority don't really drive. They do rely on RTC. Um, so I don't assume that the traffic would be so egregious to the rest of what we're already dealing with. Especially when you got activities and stuff for the seniors in the area. So, Councilmember Ebert, is there any way to maybe talk with what's her name, Anne, for the Chamber of Commerce to like maybe find a way to work with them to actually develop a senior complex instead of the warehouse or the storage units? Do you know?
Councilmember Ebert, for the record, I'm willing to talk with the property owners. They have, rights to build what they would like to build. There are, connections that can be made for, funds to help get housing projects built. But it will take, cooperation with the property owner to want to make, that type of development. I will definitely reach out and see if there's any interest there. I do agree that we have a need for more senior housing. I know that I'm shocked to hear Ranchera is $8,000 now. I know when my mom was looking for housing, it was like 4,500 a few years ago.
Wild, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk with you. I will say too, the apartments next door are just a really great example of the type of apartments I like to see in the city of Reno. And I've shared that with Mr. Peak that I appreciate the open spaces, the landscaping. To me, that's kind of the bar I've set for other apartments to come in. That, we can have nicer looking facilities than a box. We can't have trees and areas that are, look nice. Just kind of to get back to this particular project as proposed, would there be any way to have the exterior kind of coordinate a little bit more with the adjacent apartments? I know that there's going to be a lot of landscaping around, but it's a really like sleek, modern, cool looking design. But is there a way that it can maybe kind of fit a little bit more? Just putting that out there.
We can certainly, Great Peak for the record. First off, to answer Rebecca's question, if there are groups out there that want to discuss doing something jointly, that's fine. It is a 6-acre parcel, so it is a pretty large parcel. And could something something happen that is a joint effort? Absolutely. I can tell you that there hasn't been a lot of people knocking on my door. I know nothing about senior housing. I know nothing about tax credits. I build apartments and commercial.
Yeah.
And I think we do a pretty good job of it, honestly. And I appreciate the kind words about North Peak. But I'm happy to listen to people, and I'm happy to have this discussion. We're here to listen to you guys. We talked a little bit about landscaping today. That's important to me. The drive-by is important to me. It's important that it does blend in. So if there's a problem with the colors, we're happy to look at that. We're happy to look at the design.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to build something and have people upset by it by any means.
And also to Councilmember Ebert, for the record, I'm sorry, I don't. Becky, do you mind if I ask a couple more questions? I don't know if I jumped in your time.
You can, whatever you want, Miss Ebert.
I ask about impact to traffic on that road. Was there any kind of traffic study done? Do you have any kind of comparison on, what would be the impact to the traffic on London Drive and Military Road if senior housing went in versus what the anticipated trips per day would be if it's storage?
Great Peak for the record. We did not do a specific traffic study here, but I can tell you from experience, and I think everybody would agree just from your own intuition and experience, that the impact for multifamily is going to be a lot higher than for storage. And for commercial too. The way that previous parcel have been designed we were looking at the senior housing in the back lot, and then we are going to do a commercial, professional office space in the front. And it just didn't work for a couple different reasons. That's a lot higher traffic impact. When we talked to the city traffic engineers and we talked to RTC about this, they basically said there's no impact here that we're worried about.
Okay, as it stands now with the.
As it stands now. If you are interested in the traffic studies for the senior housing project that were done by Paul Salegi 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I'm happy to send those to you.
If you have them available.
I do have them.
I don't expect you to do a study on a project that you're not doing, but if you have one from before, I would be interested.
Yeah, I'd be happy to send that over. I have all that information, but I will also, just full transparency, it also included that loop through the apartment complex, which doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
For our, so everything for the mini storage is going to be on the one driveway.
And can you tell me again how many units are anticipated if you were to do this exact layout and have it built tomorrow? How many units would there be in this proposed project?
We counted out, I think it's 44 covered RV garage, where you put the big motor home in there, the boat in there. Those are 16 foot by 40, 45, and 50, depending on which building it is. I think that there's a similar number, 40 covered, outdoor covered without climate control, obviously, for parking, covered parking. And then the 10 by 15s, I don't remember the exact number, what was it, 34?
Yeah, there's like 15 per row.
Yeah, like 30 10 by 15s and maybe 30 10 by 20s that are the roll up doors where guys can pull their pickup, or with a van or whatever, and access that real easy. And then the building itself is approximately 20,000 square feet footprint, 3 stories, and we're going to develop inside only half of that, just to see where the market takes us. I think we talked about that.
Yeah. Okay, I did have a question, but I think my time is up.
You're okay if you want to put it.
Okay, oh, great, now I forgot. Yeah.
What's up?
Well, yeah, come back to me if anybody has.
I did want to open it up if there's anyone in the public wanting to comment on this specific development. Any questions or anything like that? Do you want to have anything?
Jared Salad for the record. I love the discussion about traffic and the fact that RTC is only giving you right in, right out. With RV parking, the concern is now that RVs coming in, say from Lemon, but they want to get back, they're going to have to go to Sky Vista and do a U-turn or something like that to get back. I'm just trying to understand the traffic flow and what prevents the development to allow access, either sharing with 7-Eleven or the apartments to get them to Military and then to Lemon and Trinity left there. I'm trying to understand the flow of people that live out in Lemon who want to go back to their home with the RV before they go camping somewhere. What does that look like?
Yeah, you have the lights with U-turns on them, so you're correct about that. Whether an RV can do that, that's going to be up to the driver. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of training on that. If you've ever pulled a trailer, you have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And we didn't do a traffic study outside of that. It's just going to be up to the individual driver. And I wouldn't assume that everybody's going back to military. I don't know where they're coming from. I suspect we're going to I expect that we're going to attract people from all over, to be honest with you, because of the nature of the roll-up doors.
They're putting the light, or the light is already up there with the new senior housing and connecting through Vista Knolls as they go to the houses and apartments.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't see you do from there to get back the opposite direction.
You're right to be interested because there's a lot of changes coming to Lemon Drive. I think we all know that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And look, my name and my number are both on the application. If anybody has any questions or want to talk about it, please feel free to call me. We're open. Love to have these discussions. We've been out here a long time.
And if you remember your question?
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sorry, and I know it was mid-time, so.
That's all right. Thank you. Go on now. No, Victoria.
One last thing I'm just gonna throw in that I've noticed shopping around for storage lately. Please just try to keep it more affordable. I mean, I know you have to be competitive with the amount of storage units that are gonna be around here, but there are units that are sitting empty. And they're competing against each other with high prices. Like you're paying way too much for storage these days. So if you guys keep these types of amenities as wanted as they are, like you said, the roll-up doors, keep it low on that cost and don't hike it up every year or so, you guys would stay full, and I think you would make a lot more money that way rather than pulling all.
I appreciate you saying that. And if you've ever lived in any of my apartments, you know that we're never the top of the market.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in being the top of the market. I wanted somebody in there that is there for a long time. And we reward actually people that have been there a long time. And so I totally agree with you. I want long-term tenants always, whether it's storage or whether it's in the.
Right, so don't penalize those long-term tenants.
Those are, yes, I totally agree. Thank you for the comment. Oh, Counselor, I'm in trouble.
Are the large, like, I'm gonna call them bays, forgive me,
Sure.
wrong term, for the RVs, are those doors going to be visible from the road?
I don't believe that they will be simply because of the wall.
Okay.
I mean,
So
you're gonna have to look
not-
really hard to see them.
Okay, so it's not that they'll be facing the hill behind it, it'll just be things blocking the view of it.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And do you anticipate needing a lot of lighting, like if you allow 24/7 access? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not a ton.
Okay.
I mean, low light, not unlike the apartments next door. You
Okay.
need parking lot lights, you
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any space in this like project area that's included that's isn't necessarily being used? Like maybe you can build something on it that could maybe be like a little pocket park or something for the community.
We can take a look at that there. We did the Northpeak Apartments. I wanted to make sure that sidewalk was off the road.
Yeah.
I don't like adjacent sidewalks. I want them off the road. And I noticed that the sidewalk that comes around Lemon Drive is right on the road. We will take a look at that, but the driveway's already built, and if we need to adjust that at all, we will. But it's going to be a nice drive up, I promise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious if there was any space, if maybe the configuration, you could incorporate all of it. You have the apartments there, anytime we can have more park spots for.
You want me to dedicate it to the city?
Sure. Roll it right.
Hi, sorry, go ahead.
Can I make just a comment? I used to be the work-based learning instructor at the
What's your name?
local Long Goat, for the record, DOA. I used to be a work-based learning instructor for Job Corps several years ago. And I just want to compliment Mr. Peak. They always good to work with our students, to hire them for their maintenance crew and to help them along their road to a new career. And I just wanted to compliment them for doing that.
Thank you for the kind words, sir. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
With the record, would you consider giving in the price, the cost of renting them? Would you consider giving senior discounts? Because a lot of us in our late 70s and 80s have motorhomes and things like that. And if they had to go into storage or the boats or anything, would that be something you might consider?
I've never done a storage project before, and if that's what the market requires, I will absolutely take a look at that. You should have my phone number on the application, so when we get built, feel free to give me a call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sheldon.
All right.
We're going to.
Hey, Ben.
Oh, Becky.
Ben, is it okay for me to ask a question really quick? Sorry.
Rebecca, I'm sorry, we've been on.
Is it okay?
I cut her off.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Rebecca, go ahead.
Hi, Rebecca Flannery for the record, just super fast. I just want to say how much I appreciate how knowledgeable you are about this project instead of saying, I don't know. That is freaking bonus. I'm going to throw that out at you. So thank you so much. And that's all I got. Oh, wait, actually, I do have one more thing so like they have a U-Haul storage complex over in Spanish Springs that you can rent out like anything you need for your projects. Would you be willing to maybe include that into your unit? Because it's very hard for us out here in the valleys because like anytime we want to rent like anything we need for projects, we have to go to Spanish Springs. So is there any way you maybe incorporate something like that where we can rent anything we need for projects that we don't have to go to Spanish Springs? That would be nice for us in the valleys, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Greg Peak for the record. That's an interesting question that you asked. Like any storage office, I presume we'll be selling boxes of tape and things like that. But what it sounds like you're suggesting is that we also rent trucks and trailers and things like that. And the conditional use permit language actually specifically prohibits that from us. And quite honestly, I'm not sure that we ever contemplated doing that. Becoming a U-Haul dealer, it was never really in the cards for us and outside of my comfort level at this point in time. I'm not saying it won't be in the future, and if it is, we'd have to amend the CUP and we'd be back here in front of you.
Thank you. I'd absolutely love if we can rent stuff from a storage unit instead of going that far. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. Okay, we're gonna move up. You say the B2 and B3 are actually the same?
They are combined, so we'll open them together.
Okay. Cool, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to B2 and B3. It's the Ridge Park zoning map amendment and the Ridge Park tenant map.
Just this. I have slides in these, but not together in my presentation, so it provides for a better comparison of what was previously approved for what's already.
We share what.
And what the plan is now.
Thank you.
More easily.
Sorry for the divergence there, but I figured that would be a helpful exhibit for you guys to be able to look at as we're going through this. For the record, my name is Dave Snellgrove. I'm the planning manager with Bowman Consulting. I'm working on this project with Loomis and Associates, and in the audience tonight, I have Matthew Clodfelter, the project manager, and also Billy Anderson, both on the engineering end. Let's see. Go back. Okay, so the property is directly to the west of Walmart, down the hill next to Vista Knolls Drive. We had gone through what you'll see on the top of the page there, and I'll get to those slides in a minute. We had an approved about 4 years ago, plus or minus. We were here before this board, went to Planning Commission for approval. We were actually 80 units. We went back and did a modification, actually took it down to 79 units with one of the changes that we made. But we have an approval sitting there for 79 units on 11.65 acres of the property. This property now, they added on 1.57 acres. That was a little sliver, and I'll get into that because that's where the zone change comes in. There was a little sliver that separated our property from Vista Knolls Drive. And that got brought into the property through what's called boundary line adjustment. And that was done in the last half year, plus or minus. So the portion that we'll be talking about relative to the zone change is just that little blue sliver on there. The property that's in the aerial map to the west of that, that's actually the part of the 11.5 acres So the blue area is the zone change, 1.57 acres of the whole property is now 13.22 acres. So what we're asking for, we have a zoning map amendment, which is not too terribly exciting. What we're asking for is for the property, the body of the property, the 11.65 acres is currently zoned general commercial. And then that sliver coming down is zoned multifamily 14. The challenge that we have, we can do this type of product in both zoning, but the setback requirements in the two zoning areas are different, which creates some challenge in terms of how we deal with the lots. And because of where that line is located, it cuts through about 12 of our homes. So we would actually technically have split zone homes. So the front would be in general commercial and the back would be in multifamily 14. It makes for a little bit harder management. So that's one application we've submitted. We have a separate application in that covers the tentative map application. And really what this is doing is asking for 20 more lots on the site. We're approved for 79. We're proposing 99. We picked up that extra acreage, and I'll go through the benefits that it actually brings to the overall design of the project and helps out. The things that we have to go through are, it's either going to be in a CUP or a major site plan review. Most of these are major site plan review issues. They're basically a similar type of application, allowance of more than 20 single family attached dwelling units. So they're counting this, even though we're coming in at 20, they're saying, well, the whole thing is 99 units. So we'll go ahead and make sure that that's covered. Then we have grading we don't have any cuts in excess of 20 feet, but we do have fills in excess of 10. I've got a map that'll show where that is. Because of the slopes on the site, we do trip what's called the hillside development code. So we are in for a hillside ordinance. Most of the site's relatively flat, but there are some steeper portions. And we've been in conversation with staff working on the drainage that we were previously allowed to fill in. And we have a grading permit. If you've driven by the site, you'll realize there's active work going on. That's because we have an approved tentative map. We had a big stockpile out there, as some of you may have known, and that actually came under a code enforcement issue at one point. People complained about it being there. I think there were some dust issues with it as well. So the city said, hey, you got this code enforcement issue, you got to get that cleaned up. So they wanted us to get moving on the grading permit so we could get rid of that and handle the dirt correctly. So we got the grading permit issued. We're out there moving that dirt, trying to address that issue as we speak. And then we have what's called an alternative equivalent compliance, also known as an AEC. And this will allow the typical requirement in any kind of subdivision is 1 tree per 30 lineal feet at least. And we have certain streets on this in certain areas where there are a line of driveways coming up. We can't really meet that. So we're proposing an alternative method to meet our landscaping, and it actually pushes more landscaping out to the perimeter and it enhances some of the things that you're going to see from the outside of the project. So this is the zoning map amendment. So you can see this. There was a pointer here. I was here last month. Is it the red button? Oh, it is. This right here, this little yellow coming down through here, that was the area that got added on to this red area. So that is the area that we're asking 1.57 acres, asking for a zone change on. And in the end result, this is the existing, and the proposed would be all zone general commercial, Walmart's in general commercial. This area is in general commercial. There's work going on across the street with new uses going in there. I know there's a car wash, there's a Dutch Brothers, I think there's Panda Express coming in, and then you've got the shopping at the corner and intersection. So this whole area has been designated general commercial. This type of attached product use is allowed, and you can have a residential in a general commercial zone property. So that's what we're asking for with the zone change. Not too very exciting. Then we get into the master plan for the property. The whole property as it sits right now is designated suburban mixed use, as is all the other property around. So the master plan, we don't have to change anything with the master plan. And then the zoning would be as I showed on the last graphic. This is the old plan. Then I put a purple circle on there, or to kind of highlight one of the areas that it met code, but it didn't allow for a fire truck to come down or a trash truck to go through to pick up trash. It was basically a dead end court with 6 units. There's 2 units in these top ones. There were 6 units coming off of there. Or actually, I'm sorry, there's 8. There's 2 in each one, 2, 4, 6, 8. There were 10 units in total. But there was no hammerhead turnaround that the fire department would need, nor the waste management would need. So I wanted to highlight that because the addition of the property and kind of working with the site and envisioning it different really helped us to clean some of that up. I'll point out that there's a drainage that comes down through here and then continues on. This area here is part of the overall drainage way, and that goes up next to the Vista Enclave project. The developer of this project is the same developer that did Vista Enclave that's working on that. It's right next door. It's a good tie-in, and it, quite frankly, gives a different product type. So across the street, you've got apartments. The vacant land that's still there, I believe that's got either approvals or zoning for apartments. And I believe that'll be apartments. Then you've got some detached single family of modest size. And then you've got an attached single family project with what this is. So this really diversifies some of the housing options that are right in this general area. So this is the comparison of those graphics that you have on the sheet, because you can't look at the old one and what we have on the screen with what we have on the screen right now. So I pointed out those courts that you couldn't really go up and turn around. What modifying the layout and getting this extra room allowed us to get the street up higher, which allowed us to make a connection through here. The overall circulation within the site, both from a day-to-day access standpoint and from an emergency access standpoint, works out much, much better. Also, too, these through courts here, they become throughways rather than dying out, and we'd have to have a fire truck basically park at the end. We could make the fire hose links work, but this works out much better from an emergency service and from a utilitarian service. So trash pickup, you wouldn't have to wheel your dumpsters down to the corner. The trash truck could come down and they could be right outside your garage area here. You'll notice on the plan, I've got one that shows a little bit better with the parking, that some of the homes are going to be up closer to the street and some are set back a little bit farther. So we've got some that have driveways on them, 2-car driveway, and we have some that do not have that. And I'll go through that in greater detail. Some other features I want to point out is we've got a trail connection that comes along and respects the drainage area. And this also connects up to the North Valley's regional trail network and connects to the regional park. We have talked about the drainage down along the frontage. We've got kind of a varied setback. This won't be one of those subdivisions that 2 to 5 feet off of the sidewalk, there's a concrete block wall that separates everything, and it kind of makes you feel like you're driving through a corridor and there's a little strip of landscape. The area that we have here is typically about 25 feet or more. We do have an area right in here. I think that goes down to about 15 feet. But then you can see as you come down here, it widens out. This is over 25, it's probably in the 30 to 35 feet. Then you get back towards the probably 25 and then maybe going to 20. And then you've got a big pocket that opens. So there'll be some diversity in what you're seeing as you drive by on the Sky Vista Parkway in terms of what the street scene looks like for people who don't live in this subdivision. This is the parking graphic. So the pink spaces are garage spaces. Every home will have a 2-car garage. We've got in garage space, we've got 198 parking spaces. The green on there are ones that have driveways, and those would be full-length driveways, 20-foot minimum. And we have 34 spaces there. And then we have in the blue is common area parking that we have some along the streets. And we have some little parking pockets throughout the site that are distributed for visitors that are coming. And the total comes out to 302 spaces, which is just a touch over three parking spaces per unit. This is our cut and fill map, and there are no cuts in excess of 20 feet. What this shows is areas that are to be filled greater than 10 feet. And The drainage area that was previously approved for fill, we're basically about the same there. We're going a little bit more in this area because now we have that property to work with. You can see with the line that went through here in the zoning line, these houses here get basically bisected by that old zoning line, which is why we need the zone change to help kind of regulate and keep our setback requirements the same throughout the whole subdivision. This is a hillside graphic. We try and color these like a stop sign. Green means good, yellow means caution, and red means stop. Now, this slope right here, and I worked on this years ago, when Vista Knoll Parkway was created as access up to Walmart. That's all a manufactured slope there. That's very regular, regulated. We've tried to do our grading, and these homes here, I've got some elevations of them. Rather than just being a flat unit, we have 4 different patterns, 4 different home types. And then there's a 5th one that we added in with this, and these actually step and work up the hill. So most of the grading that you would typically see in the rear yard that goes out and it gets covered with rock riprap or a wall or something, we've taken that out, and we have very minimal grading along the back area because the homes are taking out most of the grade that you've got to take up. So when you go out into your backyard, you'll actually go out on the 2nd floor because your garage is at the ground level with the street. So one of the benefits of getting that yellow area, that 1.57 acres, and this was always kind of a question mark and a challenge when we looked at this before, is there are people who do different things. And a number of times there have been shopping carts that get wheeled down from the sidewalk down the slope, and that is on somebody else's property or comes onto the property in question. Now, gaining this yellow area allows for the future homeowners association to be able to deal with these things, also to do any type of potentially planting or things that will help inhibit shopping carts from rolling down. I'm not going to say that nobody's going to do it in the future. Unfortunately, they'll probably still try and do that. But they would have control over this, and they can treat this so that it helps kind of prevent or stop that. But this is an example. I had the window in here because shopping cart was hard to see, but that's that picture right there. Got some other examples of people who were bored. They might call it having fun. We've had camping on the site. We've had I think this might be possible team cart rolling that they were doing here. When you get more eyes on an area and you get more activity in an area, some of these things don't remain a problem. That's our hope. It's not to say that they've got a cart corral right there by the bus stop, and there is a bus stop right there at the intersection right adjacent to this subdivision. The cart's down there. If somebody's waiting too long for their bus, they may still choose to wheel them down whatever hill might be there, but hopefully not with eyes on the back. So this is the overall trails graphic. The purple lines are sidewalks that are within our subdivision and within the Vista Enclave project. You can see down here in the bottom, we've got the North Valleys Regional Park. You got the North Valleys Regional Park Trail System. So the trail system up in the regional park is quite extensive, and we provide a connection that continues out. And you can see we've got a branch that comes up to Vista Knoll. So people and it would be easy if somebody could walk from the regional park on a trail, not adjacent to a street, but on a trail, and come over and get over to shopping if they wanted. They could go from this subdivision here or the subdivision we have proposed and get up without having to come all the way down to a corner and then going up Vista Knoll. So we felt that was a good addition. Having control of that 1.57 acres allows us to do that. This is just a standard elevation. I didn't put all of them on. This is building 1. There's building 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are similar, and they're just 2-story with the garage below. And then you've got a living area in the back and more living area up above. The new ones that we added that are over on the eastern side work like this. You can see they work their way up the hill, that you've got parking down below, and then you've got your living area up above. And there's a stairway interior that goes up to those living areas up above. That's how it works. You don't have this bigger grading in the back. because we're taking it up with the home itself. Oh, the range of sizes, the smallest is 1,443 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and the Plan 5 ends up being the biggest ones, just over 2,000 square feet, be a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. So there's a broad diversity of sizes within the proposed project. So let's see, typical yards. Every home will have a side and rear yard area. The rear yards are not big. These are not intended to be expansive, but we'll have a minimum of 10-foot setback on both the side and the rear yard. Our overall density, we were at about 7 dwelling units, a little over 7 before. Now we're at 7.4 per acre. This area, I was looking through the master plan. That was another graphic that I didn't have in my presentation. I really wish I had, and I will for planning commission, but I was looking through the master plan. They've got identified neighborhood commercial node areas. So Stead Boulevard and the freeways one. You've got Lemon Drive, or not Lemon Drive, but yeah, the Lemon Drive node area and Sky Vista Parkway, where you've got a couple grocery stores. You got Walmart and different shopping. That's another node, and also Golden Valley up here in the North Valleys area. So we're next to an area that's intended to be intensified. And we feel that we're doing things right in terms of, we had the allowance for the drainage way to be filled before. We're still in conversations with staff about that. But we feel that what we're bringing in is an improvement in the overall design of the project, the access and circulation going around, the trail connectivity, and everything else. So I'm going to go. I know the question will probably come up because traffic's always a big question. So I put this one at the end, and I realized during the last presentation, I went, probably going to have to show that. So I'll go ahead and address it now. We were a little over 500 average daily trips. I can't remember what the AM and PM peaks were, but they were a little lower than what we have now. Now we're at 713, and we're at 48 AM trips and 56 PM trips. This typically doesn't require a traffic report to be done, but it's a traffic entry and access study was done by GCW Engineering, which used to be Headway Transportation. I'm sure you've seen a lot of traffic reports and information that come from them. So we did take a look at the traffic, and when we did this project before, that was before the widening of Sky Vista Parkway. So the Loomis team worked very diligently with RTC to make sure that our access was provided for, that they knew where our access points would be, not only our primary access, but our emergency access. So if you drive along there, you'll see that there's a left turn pocket going both north and south into the different project areas at our main access point. And then you'll see an area where it's landscaped, and then it goes to this lower concrete area. It's called a mountable curb. And they can basically, for emergency access, the emergency vehicles can get in or out of there from any direction. It's a little hard to say. I don't think I have a really good aerial map. It shows, if you look at Google Earth in a more recent photo, you can clearly see them. Or when you're driving by, you go, oh, that's what he was talking about. Well, I'll go back to my technical end slide here. Whoop. So we feel that the zoning designation will bring consistency to the property, allowing for it to have consistent setback requirements. We're only requesting 20 additional units in essence, but this is being reviewed like a new tentative map, even though the other one is still existing and valid. Prevents for an ownership small lot product type that'll help diversify what's offered in this general area. There's walkable services, shopping, and transit right near the site, and it provides trail connections and pedestrian connections that go directly to road pedestrian connections that are not directly adjacent to roadways. So it gives a different environment. One of the things in terms of the drainageway standards for the city of Reno is they want to have them open for recreational uses. Passive recreation and walking on trails is definitely considered to be a recreational use by pretty much any jurisdiction you'll talk to. So we feel that we're meeting everything, and we do feel that we have a better design than what we had before. With that, I'll close my presentation. Matthew, Billy, and I are all available for any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Ben Johnson for the record. So, in a sense, like these homes are already going in. We're just looking to change the existing map and update the zoning map.
Yep.
And the tenant map, just to make it flow better for how it's zoned in two different areas and both on the same property. And I think you guys were smart in leading into the fact that it'll actually help with access for the fire department and utilities. I think that's a good thing to lean into to get this approved. I think you're obviously aware of that, but I don't think very
I
wise.
know what the benefits are.
I mean, the only thing I have is an overall traffic issue in that area. And this is not in relation to you as much in your team, but just to Megan, and I know you're not in NDOT or on have to do with any of that really, but you know, for example, I'm driving, it's around 7 a.m. and I'm coming down Lemon to make a left at there's that Sky Vista and that turn that becomes something else. Right? Making the left there. To make that, to go from 7-Eleven up to the very next light to make a left, takes me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
right.
go down Sky Vista from where your homes are, past Walmart, to get through that intersection to go straight, same amount of time, right? It's just, that's something I think the next time, and you know, who's in charge of that RTC?
It's art.
Okay, so,
Just did like improvement.
okay, I know, just, that whole area is a mess for all of us who live up here, and obviously got school going in. This won't help with that. There's nothing you can do about that. You're gonna use this property. It's already approved to use it, so I know you're gonna do it anyway. That's my only kind of issue. The last thing, I'm gonna hold myself to this too. I have a bit left. When I'm looking at your thing here, the south side of the paper, and I think that is south. Across that is a large drainage ditch that actually, there's a large, I would say it's like a 5-foot pipe that flows under the freeway right into that area. Does that drainage way go under Sky Vista through this property, or is it dead end right there?
You know, it keeps going down, and that's the drainage area, the more significant drainage area that we had the right to fill in from the last approval. And I will tell you, if you go out and look at it now, that's been filled in. That other side of, between the freeway and Sky Vista has been graded in. That has uses that are proposed. I'm not sure what's going there. Billy told me, oh yeah, they filled that in. So I went up to the site today and yeah, that part of the drainage way has been filled into. So that's been piped.
And you feel that the drainage in that area is gonna be good with these homes going in, and we're not gonna have any issues with
So that's where I bring my technical experts. They can talk more cogently about that. Billy, you want to come up?
Yeah, sure.
You got to get on the mic.
Yeah, no problem. Ben, do you have a more specific question about drainage as far as, or you
I'm
just?
gonna make it real quick. It's just with adding these homes and there's a lot of grading and that you guys are not grading, infill, all that going on. Are we gonna have an issue with flooding or the sewer in that area?
But no, so we have accounted for that in our design, and will account for that in our final design when we get there. But yeah, we're actually required to account for all of what's called a developed flow. So essentially you're creating you put asphalt and concrete down, you create additional runoff. And so we're required by good engineering practices and law to mitigate that. And so that's what we're doing. And our design does that. As far as sewer goes, yes, about sewer. So yeah, we're actually going to sewer into the adjacent development, just with the standard gravity lines. So that's all taken care of too.
This is Billy Anderson for the record.
Yeah,
So
sorry,
I'm not sure if you got the name on there. And two, the requirement out here, and I'm sure you're all aware, is on our detention is 1.3 to 1, and we have met the 1.3 to 1.
Thank you. I'm gonna keep past me. We're gonna go with Steve.
So I guess Kelsey Meno for the record.
I was seeing that there's 70 common area parking stalls in the new area. Were there that many when you had the in your previous?
Yeah, we were at about 3 to the unit also before, and we've kept our ratio the same. That every unit has parking in a garage, some of them have parking in a driveway, and then we've got additional parking. Having this road come around a little bit farther, because we've got 20 extra lots that we're adding in. We needed some extra on-street parking or common area parking. So we were able to pick up enough with that extra extensive road, especially if you're looking at the graphic off to kind of the northern side by the detention area. We've got parking along that road, which is very helpful to add in.
So, cause I have concern that if there's 90, I know that there's 3 for each unit, or at least 2, right? For each unit, that, if there's only 70 additional parking spots, which is what was said on your graphic up there, that there isn't going to be anywhere else for anyone to park. Like outside of that 70, and so they'd have to go to like the Walmart or, park somewhere else.
Well, I feel that we're substantially parked with this project. One of the requirements out of this, and you know that oftentimes without regulations, there will be a homeowners association in this. Without regulations, you can have people using their garages as storage. Well, that'll be something that they have to use their garages as parking, because we know we've got parking up that's needed on the site. There's not really a reliever. You can't go out and park on Sky Vista Parkway. So when we worked with this as the design before, and when we worked with it now, we tried to keep that up as high as we could. 3 per acre is significantly higher than the code requirement. I, as the planner working on it, had questions. I'm trying to make sure that we had ample parking on the site, and we do feel that we do have ample parking on the site.
Okay, cause I was just thinking of it like if somebody were to like visit their home, and things like that, you're having like a birthday party, there's not really a lot of that. And so adding those additional 20, does that sacrifice, parking space or, it just looks a lot cleaner and a lot neater in this first one, even though I really like the access point that you guys added. But it just seems very squished.
Our parking ratio remained the same. The number of parking spaces per unit overall remained at 3. Can't remember, I think we were just a little over 3 before, and I think we're maybe a little higher, a little lower than what we were before, but we're right around 3. Both of them were a little bit over 3.
Okay. That's all that I have.
Thank you.
Kelly Orr for the record, thank you for your presentation. Things again, the parking, what size vehicles can park in the driveways, or there's gonna be like regular work trucks?
Well, if somebody's got something that's extra long and a hitch sticking out of it, it may not. These are standard size. 20 foot is the requirement from the garage door. So these aren't shortened driveways. The city basically told us you got to be below 3 feet or at 20 or over with your parking. Those were our rules when we went through this before, and we maintained that with this.
Will the HOA own the streets within the development?
They will be private streets. Correct.
Private, perfect.
Yes.
One thing I would just put out there, I'm talking to Ben, in different neighborhoods, with mixed commercial, and zones. Community area, corner market, something to ease the flow where residents in the area can just walk to the little market and get something, or corner little bar. It's very prevalent in Wisconsin and Chicago area. We were just talking about that. That's something to plan instead of putting 20 more homes, putting something that's going to be useful. And then what type of fencing are you going to be used besides the like wood fence, plastic, metal fencing around the area?
I'm not sure if it's going to be a lot of places are using vinyl fencing.
Just as the high wind.
Something that will hold up over time. I know wood does degrade.
Is it metal?
I don't believe there's any metal. And really what you're going to see is not from the outside, you're not going to see a block wall that's just continuous that closes off the subdivision views in. What you'll see, the first fencing that you get to is really the rear yard fencing. And as I pointed out on the site plan, there's some deviation and breaks in that fencing. So it's not going to be the solid fence. It's going to be something where you got some in and out and interest of the landscape areas that are put on there. And it is not just like 3 to 5 feet off of sidewalk. It's typically about 25 feet plus or minus. There is one area that goes down a little bit narrower, and there's other areas that get expansive because it opens up into the subdivision.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Victoria?
Victoria, look for the record. I remember when you guys first came through, I was still on the board.
Okay, I was trying to remember who all was here.
Yeah. My first comment when I first saw you guys was like at the parking and the street sizes that you showed. I still have the pictures of everything that you had on your first round.
Mhm.
So it's nice to see that you have more parking. It is kind of unfortunate to see that it is still a little bit smaller than the typical spaces that you see in the bigger vehicles. And I understand that the standard is the standard and
Right.
you're meeting the standards and I appreciate at least meeting those. But you do have areas that you're looking to bring families in. If I remember correctly, yours is more two families and the landscape is more open to the walkways. I know you guys led with that a lot last time was what you were gonna do with the walkways as well. Are you still planning on doing anything additional to those walkways? Are you laying down DG? Are you putting pavement? Are you leaving it?
I think the proposal is those would tie in with the North Valley's open space and trail network, and they basically be a graveled or DG or whatever path
Something
type
that
path
looks
system.
more standing out is kind of where I would like to answer my comment, is making it look more presentable to a walker and not let it get forgotten. Because there are trail systems that these developments have come in and yes, we leave them, they're open. But then they're not maintained, they're forgotten about, and now it's degrading, and now it's not a walkway, it's just become a drainage site because you are cutting into the mountain, right? So I
Well,
would just like to answer that comment, just there's something you can do to kind of have it.
the trails that run between Vista Knoll and the houses. So you've got a steeper slope, and I mentioned it in my presentation. That was created to get access up to Walmart. In terms of that, if that becomes a drainage problem, where it's going to go is towards the rear yards of the properties. That now it's all within the HOA and can be maintained. And
I'm aware with HOA because HOAs are not right. Themselves, the laws, they don't have anyone coming down on them. They get to set their own standards. So if you design it, then they have to maintain it. That's kind of where I'm going.
Understand.
The last thing was just the drainage. When I'm uncomfortable with taking away the groundwater in the area. I understand you guys meet your standards. I understand those things are environmentally all you can do. But it does suck to see, I'm sorry, for this area, especially for everything to start being retained. We do enjoy our groundwater because it feeds everything else around us and it cuts back on the fires. Fires are a big thing, and the more you guys take away and cause those runoffs and take away from our groundwater and that nature, it's just gonna cause issues down the line. We're gonna lose our lakes, we're gonna lose our scenery. So
Yeah, so actually, as far as the groundwater goes, so with all of these, when you have all these developments, you have these intermittent retention basins, all that water is being retained on site and it actually is infiltrating into the soil. So it's actually adding to the
flow, natural flow is what I'm saying.
Oh, that is true. Actually, in the natural flow, you actually have more water that's coming off and getting like to Swan Lake. And
Right.
obviously that's not necessarily a good thing, right, with the flooding issues down there. And so these are all efforts to mitigate that. And then also actually it does have benefits for the local aquifers as well.
Right. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
We're speaking to the record. I do like that we're building single family houses. So I think that's a need out here, regardless of the fact of what we all hate about everything that comes with it. So thank you, but I think all of my concerns have pretty much been addressed. Rest of the board members.
Okay. Rebecca?
Rebecca, do you have any questions online?
Yeah, I just lost them.
Who's on?
Steps away from. Megan?
I think the board covered, most of the, questions I had, and I had to step out to take a call for a minute, so I don't know if I missed anything, but was there, any kind of discussion about what this development looks like from the street view? Is there a fence along the project line or what?
Yeah, I'd be happy to recover that. Can you bring my presentation back up? You have the plans in front of you, but this will be a little bit bigger and I can point out some specific areas. Back. I think we're going to go back. Who wants to stay on this slide? There we go. Let me get back to our current, I went one past it. One more. There we go. Okay.
I just mean for like,
Yeah.
street level.
At the street level, and we don't have any kind of, we did talk to our, the applicant today, and they're actually on the call tonight. We did talk to them and let them know that something to show what this will look like. These homes will actually be below the elevation of the street. So this wouldn't be a good area to look at, although you will have opening. The fencing varies. It's not a solid fence that'll run along. Up here is where we asked them to take either a perspective view this way or that way to kind of give an idea when we get to planning commission. I think that'll help. We have a lot of things. If you have the old application information, one of the board members said that we had a whole bunch of perspectives, but they were all interior to the site. And we didn't really have anything of what this will look like on the outside. And I think we're actually going to have a very positive outside that we're typically about 25 feet of separation from sidewalk to where the fence is. This comes down to about 15 feet here. Then you go over 25 feet. You're probably in the 30 to 35 foot that is at an angle. It's not straight on. You get some diversity in terms of where the fencing will be.
Okay, so there's a pretty big setback too.
Mhm.
And also
Yes.
about cars going off the road. We have, icy roads and there's extreme weather sometimes, and also people driving way too fast. That's a huge factor with most of our accidents. So I think it looks nice to not have just a big block wall, but I am also a little bit concerned about the making sure that those homes and their fences are safe from any potential accidents.
Right. My daughter, telling a little personal story, my daughter kind of ran off the road, not paying attention. She claims it was a bee, but I think it was her phone, and basically took out the bottom carriage of our nearly 25-year-old Chrysler Town and Country, which I so desperately wanted to put a classic rod plate on that. She felt horrible about it, but what ended up stopping her, she would have hit a fence had there not been a landscape boulder there.
Yeah.
And she hit the boulder, and the boulder moved probably about a foot and a half into the car.
Yeah. So is that something that you're gonna have along here?
And that's something that we can look at in terms of adding, the wrong button.
That's something that would be really wise to
Well,
do.
and we can talk.
To get bollards, am I saying that right? Or boulders,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not cheap to do that, but I think in the long run, it would be a really good safety measure that would also kind of look nice with our natural landscape out here in mountains with all the boulders. So
I have
that's
a question. Billy, is this soil really rocky? Find
No.
really big boulders in there?
No.
Okay. Darn. We find a lot of sites that do have a lot of boulders right on site.
fine, but they'll look like they belong
Right.
here,
Well, and that's something we can talk to the owner about. And I think they would want to protect those things too for the homeowners and what the appearance is. I think they can look very attractive.
That'd be great. An example of that too is the peak apartments that we talked about earlier has that.
has some of those along the front of their apartments on the military road, if you wanted to see an example of that.
Typically, roadway agencies don't like to have those within their right of way, but given our setback is wide enough, I think we'd have the potential for that.
And then there was another thing I wanted to share, and member Luck touched on it. We talked about it today a little bit with the water detention retention area, that if there's a way to kind of potentially fence off an area and have it be kind of like a marsh area as well, or like a wetlands wilderness area, because we are losing so much of that. And it is, people don't think of marshlands when they think of, Nevada, but if that's something that could be done, and then have like the dual use of like when we need to divert water, that what is it, 130% of the impervious ground, you need to be able to retain that amount of water. If we could have it be kind of like, this is a natural area for a wildlife, and also the water gets kind of stored here.
And that's one thing. I'm glad you brought up wildlife, because one of the things in terms of the drainage ways, when you look at the major drainage ways, or some of the purposes out of that is for wildlife corridors and different things. The challenge to this drainage way is that you come down, and if you encourage wildlife to come down, we're kind of creating a little bit more of a block, because where you get to Sky Vista Parkway. So if they go across Sky Vista Parkway, as I mentioned before, and drive by it and take a look at it, the drainage way across the Sky Vista Parkway from us, that's been filled in. But the next thing, if they want to go farther, is the freeway. Neither of those are safe options for wildlife. So in terms of a wildlife corridor, this makes a lot of sense to kind of have a cutoff. You've got a big natural area up above with the North Valley's Regional Park Trail System, regional park area, but kind of creating a situation where could wildlife go through there on the steeper slope? Yeah, they could. But it's not as inviting as if we have the drainage way there.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not talking about like a bridge for deer to get across the road or anything, but we have quail, we have rabbits, especially with that proximity to the regional park. So there can be a fenced off area, so it's not necessarily a travel route for wildlife, that they could, kind of use that space, not deer, not coyotes, but just some of our local wildlife could live there,
Well, I think naturally with the detention area that we have designed within the subdivision up to the north end of the property, this is intermittent in water coming in, but there will be times of the year where there is water in there.
Yeah.
And it will be inviting. It'll be a bigger area that they can get water from, and it's not there all the time.
Yeah.
But the intention of that is to hold back that 1.3 to 1 that we're required to hold back in times when we do have storm events.
And then I'd actually like to add something to that. I know you have concern about restricting that access. Two things actually. One would be a little bit of actually visual. So I'm trying to put it in my head, like what kind of fence that actually might look like, so that doesn't actually stand out and be an eyesore actually. And then number two would be functional. So we put a fence around something. Well, now I'm a kid and I want to climb it. I don't know that it would effectively restrict access.
Well, there's examples you could look at down in South Reno, DeMonte Ranch area behind the Home Depot down there, those housing developments. There's
They just use split rail.
Sorry?
I think it might be split rail down there.
Yeah, there's split rail, and then there's also, regular fence as well.
Yeah.
And they've incorporated that kind of with some trails and made that be like a feature of the housing down there. Is it serves two purposes. One, you can't really build on the marshes, and two, it's storage for water as needed, and there's also the wildlife there. And I actually saw some otters there one time, which I had no idea that we had otters here. And there's, it's something maybe to go take a look at. And obviously it's a different area. No two spots are going to be exactly the same, but it maybe could give you some examples or ideas of how to maybe have an area that's safe for wildlife, that's also you know, safe for people to like cohabitate with, so.
You're thinking more of like a split rail.
Could be a split rail, could be like have a fence around, like, just, you know, I recommend just taking a look down there and seeing how they've done that, where it houses back up to it, where they left a gap, you know, between houses and a trail and you know, I think there's ways that we can incorporate that. There's been areas where they've had to like restore marshlands and things like that, so it's not something that's completely unheard of. I know that, you know, everything costs money to do, but just something to think of, because we do really appreciate our open spaces and our wildlife out here.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Sorry about
cut this off, everybody. Rebecca, do you have your hand up? Do you have anything you wanted to add? I'm sorry, but as quick as you can, please.
I'm gonna keep this super simple. Rebecca Flannery for the record. So I'm born and raised here in Reno. But my ex-husband was in the military, so we lived in Washington for quite a while. And one thing I noticed is that they had like concrete retention pond type things. It's like a big square dug in the ground with concrete around it and then like a fence. So I don't see a lot of that happening in Reno, which I wish really would, because it, you know, takes in that excess water instead of flooding streets and homes. And then maybe if you took like the fence around it and put some plants or something, I don't know. But is there any like, is anybody looking at that way to keep from flooding? Like, I feel like it actually helped. And I mean, it was Washington, so it rained a lot. So my neighborhood never flooded because of those things. So I don't know if that's an option. Thank you.
I could give a very brief response. You know, some of the things we talked about earlier relative to water, groundwater recharge. I checked with Billy to confirm the detention area, the retention area won't be lined. The water will be allowed to perk in, and we do want to encourage that. So concrete lining, creating something that's not going to allow water to go in our arid environment is not a good idea.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're going to move on.
Thank you very much.
Presentation.
Appreciate it. I don't think I'm back next month.
If anyone has public comment on this, wait for the last public comment section, but we need to move on for business items. Okay. And we move on to C1, this Reno State Master Plan update.
Jen, I just want to let you know before you get started, we have a hard stop of 8 p.m. So.
Do we want to do this?
I don't want to make them come back. I'll leave that to them. Okay.
I'll try and go as fast as I can. So good evening, everyone in the room and online. My name is Jed Hammer. I'm an airport planner with the Reno-Tahoe Airport Authority. Thank you for having us tonight. When I say us, I also have Lisa Butterfield and Scott Gordon. So at the end, if we do have time, they'll probably come up and help me answer questions. So anyway. Tonight, I'm going to give you an update on the Reno State Airport Master Plan effort that we're currently undertaking. A little bit about the RTAA I'm going to be using probably, if we have time, a lot of acronyms tonight, so I'll try and explain them. RNO is downtown, RTS is the Reno State Airport, and the RTAA runs both. A little bit about the RTA is run by a 9-member board, appointed by the city of Reno, the city of Sparks, Washoe County, and RSCVA. They are a quasi-municipal corporation authorized to independently run the RNO and RTS airports. A little bit about Reno. You can see here the folks in Stead call it the small airport, and the Stead airport is the large one. Community hub I want to point out is Operation Santa Claus, live music on a flight, Burning Man, and more. A little bit about Stead. Actually, let me go back really fast. The green, I want to point out, financially self-sufficient from operations, there's no local taxes. And most of the airport finances are supported from federal grants. As I mentioned, the RTS is over 5,000 acres, 3,000 of which is developable, with only about 7 employees taking care of everything. Over $100 million invested in the airport up here in the last 15 years. Major operators include Aviation Classics, which is a fixed-based operator, an FBO, the BLM, Tactical Air, and the Sheriff's Office, Raven. What is an airport master plan? We are, as I mentioned, run by the Federal Aviation, the FAA. It's a comprehensive study of an airport and usually describes the short, medium, and long-term development plans to meet future aviation demand. That means short, 5 years, 10, medium, and 20 long-term is what we look at. There are 8 main components of an airport master plan, 2 of which must be approved by the FAA. Those 2 are what's called an aviation forecast and an airport layout plan and GIS system. Both must be approved by the FAA. An ALP, or airport layout plan, is kind of the blueprint for development of an airport. And an aviation forecast kind of takes into account the types of operations now and going forward. The process. I've pointed out several areas where FAA approval is needed. As mentioned with the forecast and ALP, we also did a lot of pre-planning with our FAA ADO down in Phoenix on pre-planning and the scope. And I'll get into that a little later if I have time. Really quickly, I'm going to go through the history of STED. Starting in the 40s, it was constructed as a military training center. Moving from the 40s to the 50s, it was reactivated by the Nevada Air National Guard in 48. As most of you have probably seen the plaque downstairs outside and the memorial here, it was named after Lieutenant Croston Stead, who was killed during a P-51 training accident. 52, the Stead Air Force Base was activated. It was utilized by not only the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and foreign officers, but a lot of people don't know that the pre-1965 astronauts also trained here. 66, and went to a quitclaim deed to the city of Reno, and then on to 77, where the Airport Authority of Washoe County was formed, which is now the RTAA, and all land and obligations transferred from the city at that time. Going over the Reno Air Races, the National Championship Air Races, Bill Stead started in the 60s in Spanish Springs. They moved also in the 60s to Stead. And since that time, there has been a large impact. Over 1,000 acres were acquired to protect the land under the race course from encroachment. There was an 80-acre ramp put in, grandstands, large hangars for race aircraft, and also a lot of economic benefits. Stead today, you can see from the aerial there, the yellow is our boundary up there. It's over 5,000 acres. There's 2 runways, over 200 based aircraft, almost 60,000 annual operations. And then I mentioned tenants, TAC Air, BLM, Army Guard, Aviation Classics, and Dermody also down there as well. The airport itself is designated as a regional general aviation, or GA, reliever airport, as opposed to Arno, which is a commercial airport. This is a jumbled slide on purpose. There's a lot of changing dynamics. Obviously rah-rah departed. There's redevelopment of the Army Guard. There has been a regional shortage of GA hangars, more operations in terms of UAV, UAS on the dirt runway out there. And then I do want to make a point. There's also dwindling industrial land availability and nearby housing growth. I want to go over quickly what we went through starting in summer 24. We met with 18 local and national firms about the master plan. Staff encouraged participation by local firms as the prime or sub on a national firm-led team. An RFQ, or request for qualifications, went out, advertised in the RGJ as well as the Nevada Government e-marketplace for about 5-6 weeks. 7 firms submitted statements of qualifications. In October, the staff advanced the 4 highest ranked. And then in November, a second selection committee that was comprised of staff as well as one of the RTA Board of Trustees participated in the firm interviews. And then from that action, Ardura Incorporated was selected as the consultant. A little bit about Ardura. They are based in Idaho, but they, as you can see, have completed over 150 projects at 43 airports in just the last 3 years. And the airport, the RTA, was especially pleased with their stakeholder engagement within rural and suburban communities. This is a list of the sub-consultants that are part of the team. As you can see, there's a lot of different moving parts that go into an airport master plan. So there's a sizable sub-consultant team. This is what I kind of wanted to really highlight tonight is what we're doing for public engagement, and that's the reason why I'm here tonight too. The website that has been put up is called rtsmasterplan.com. I highly encourage everyone to visit the site. There's a QR code if you want to scan it. But we're also looking at public meetings, community pop-ups, tenant and user interviews, and we're working with NDOT and FAA. But the one of the major groups that came from this is a master plan working group. And the master plan working group is composed of internal and external stakeholders. They're expected to provide technical expertise. They're tasked with facilitating communication. They are encouraged to participate in open dialogue, and it's being kept small to make sure every stakeholder has a voice and opportunity to contribute. Noteworthy final decisions rest with the RTAA based on the informed decisions that the master plan working group makes. Members include jurisdictions, local jurisdictions, local stakeholders. We are still looking for one more member from the 89506 area code. So we have a application, and if anyone's interested, I can, after the meeting, point you to the right direction. This is a milestone slide that we had for what's happening. As you can see, we're in the middle of the existing conditions going into the aviation forecast section. So what do we have and what demand do we expect? We're still fairly early on in the process, and the next steps for, at least for the master plan, are in January, we'll have a draft of the existing conditions, facility assessments. In March, we're looking at that draft aviation forecast, which gets posted on the website after the FAA checks it out for approval. And then we're looking at a spring-summer timeline for the first public meeting. As I mentioned before, myself, Scott Gordon, Alyssa Butterfield, all from the RTAA. The second thing that I hope you take away from this presentation tonight is that we do have office hours in the Stead Terminal, Wednesdays from 9 to 4. We welcome and encourage anyone to come by and ask questions, talk about whatever you have on your mind. Even the Chicago Bears, if you'd like. I'm no expert, I'll speculate. So yeah, right now, thanks again for the time. Depending on the time, we're open to any questions, but like I mentioned, office hours or contact information, I can leave some cards, but we welcome any and all comments and questions and connection. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen.
Megan.
Yeah.
And to staff as well. I actually want to ask a bunch of questions on the record. And I understand asking you guys to come out again is kind of a hard ask, but we're out of time.
We're welcome to, yeah.
Okay, because I would like to discuss that and the development of what we're seeing possibly happening on the airport, and it affects all of us here. So if you guys can schedule that, I'd really appreciate that. So
Yeah,
we're not going to do questions right now for you guys. We're out of time. Sure, go ahead.
Can I just go on record with one thing, just because we've already started to put together some frequently asked questions? And probably the most frequently asked question we are getting right now for this outreach, I'm sorry, Lisa Butterfield for the record, is the status of the Gigafactory.
Yeah.
That is not proceeding.
That was the lithium.
Correct. We were unable to negotiate a lease with them. We've ceased all communications with them, and our understanding is they have, based on changes with the current administration regarding what types of funding they gives to what type of energy companies, they're consolidating their business in Europe. So their American presence is shrinking pretty significantly. So it is not happening. That is our number one question. And
Okay.
we can stay after.
Yeah. We need to end the motion for adjournment.
Yes. So we're going to skip some of these other things. We're going to go right to adjournment.
Do we have to do closing public comment on any? Okay. Kelly, we're expecting.
Okay. All in favor?
Oh, sorry. That order. All right.
Let's start again. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Kelly, your motion to adjourn. Elsie, Zeno, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank goodness no battery factory. It's that airport. Woo!